In this deep dive, we're going to be looking at shapes, and if I just go to the Add Element option in any page on Hosting a Website Builder, we can see all of the items here. Third down, and on the left, we've got shape. We can see a star shape there, and if I was just to add in a normal shape, we can see that we've got the option to change the color and the shape itself. From here, we've got a number of different starting options. So everything from putting a badge on a pricing table for most popular, for example, to coming up with interesting 3D shapes like this one here. So there's a lot that we can work with these shapes, and in this deep dive we'll be jumping in and showing examples of how to get the most from them. We can also add animation to shapes at any time. So I'm just going to remove this block, and I've got an example here from a previous tutorial that I want to share with you. Here we've got a background created on Canva, which has deliberately got a transparent section at the bottom, meaning that the photo comes down halfway on that area, so we can have this overlap Polaroid effect. When I say Polaroid, I'm talking about the photos coming out of a Polaroid camera, which have those big chunky white borders around them, and that's an effect that we've created using the shape. And you probably guessed it, but yes, this is the shape here, and it's a case of adjusting the layers to start getting them to work together to create bespoke look and feel. If I want to add a little bit more to this layout, I can just bring these text areas in. I could decide to put a shape to the left here. So let's just try with a few different shape options. So we could try with a triangle. And as you can see, we can adjust the proportions of that triangle. And that gives us an option to make a notch into our hero image. And if we were to change this color to white, we can show that we can go with the bespoke format for that. We can change it to the size that we want. That's just a novel way of using a shape to cut into the hero. We could change the shape up and go for a vertical line. At this point, we'll need to change the color. So I'll change it to the black. And here we can adjust the height. That dividing line could be carried through for the rest of our website. And that's just another novel way we can use shapes. Let's try something else. Say we wanted to put a 5-star rating on a review. We could create our first star, duplicate it, add the second one in, duplicate that, and you know what's happening next. So it's just a case of aligning up the first option and then duplicating across. But that can be a little bit messy if we're looking at lots and lots of different star options. So you may choose to go down a different route of bringing in a PNG image, for example, one that you designed on Canva, that would cover all of those. But the limits with these shapes are your imagination. And so I'm just going to see if I can think of one more example to show you. I suppose a vertical or a horizontal dotted line could work as well. And then we can extend the length either side accordingly. Or you could put in a little badge here. And this is where we could change it to a color. And now we could put some text overlaying it. So I've gone for paragraph 3 to make it a smaller text size, just to make sure everything fits. I can reduce the bounding box just so it's a little neater on the page. And now bring that into the middle of that box. One thing I might want to do as well is to change the justification to centrally aligned to make sure that we've got equal spacing either side of that badge. And I might go for a white text and then bump up the size. Again, this could be imported by a standalone image, but in this case, the shape works quite well. Then when I switch to mobile size, I'll probably have a little bit of tweaking to do. For example, the size of this badge here, and finding out where the on sale option is appearing. But I can adjust on mobile, and the shapes will stay in the same position and the same size on desktop. In this case, on mobile, I could decide to move that badge to the top of the frame, and even move the frame up, bringing the next section in closer. So those are just a few different options on just this one layout. So we've got this Polaroid hero, which uses a number of shapes and different animation effects as we load the page. So let's just try something a bit different. Not sure what's happened here. That usually doesn't work like that. But it might be a case of just adjusting where this text starts here accordingly. But now let's add a new section and try and find a new way of presenting information. So for example, we've got the 3 photos here in this horizontal structure. And this could be a good example to show how we can use shapes overlaying these images, then titles, to create a signpost. Let's say we're going to go with 3 different service options. So we're going to start with a shape, as you'd probably expect. And then we're going to bring that shape to fit in from the left. And we might decide then to make that shape semi-transparent. Again, we're bringing in the background image. I don't want a border on this, so I don't know why it's putting one in. That just seemed to be an issue, a little glitch there where it's loading. And then once I've got one shape in a position that I want, I can duplicate it and snap it to the other sections. And now I have 3 images. I can change these images for different products or service offerings, for example, and then this whole section becomes a signpost. What I can do additionally is add in a button. And in fact, with that button in place, I'm going to move this up a couple of notches and have that button linking off to the left for each. This is telling the viewer to click and engage with that call to action button or that signpost button, and to make sure everything's nice and neat and tidy. Alternatively, I could decide to move these across to the right, but this is how we can create unique bespoke layouts using simple shapes in the Hosting a Website Builder. Just take a moment just to make sure that we're all perfectly aligned to the right. We can see there's a little bit of a step there, so I would just take a bit longer just to fuss with that and make sure it's all working as expected. What I could also decide to do now at this stage is to bring in our color. So I'm going to go back to shapes and I'm going to add another rectangle, which it will add by default. And this time I'm going to bring it to the right of this signpost block. So I'll get everything aligned, and then I will add in the color that we used previously to give it a unique bespoke effect. Now, my final step on this signpost is to add our page title. Let's call it services. Change it to a white text, because we've got the semi-transparent overlay that makes sure that that text comes out nice and clear. I could decide to add in an introductory sentence explaining what the services page is all about. But ultimately, that's a unique effect using multiple shapes and then text and buttons combined with a background image to create a fully bespoke layout. There's so much that we can do to edit and change these. What we're going to do now is select those 2 blocks. And I think I need to do these individually. I haven't found a way yet of doing them all together. And now select these elements. The one thing with Hosting a Website Builder, which is a little frustrating coming across from Squarespace, but I know that's more me than the platform, is in Squarespace I can drag from anywhere on the screen to select multiple elements. But from Hostinger, I got to remember to drag from the inside out. And as we can see now, we've selected all 4 elements in this area. Before we jump on any further, I'm going to press save, just so we've got those elements already in place. We're going to go back in now and continue to edit it. And if we select multiple elements, we can move them around together. And although we can paste an entire section, at the moment, I can't see a way of copying and pasting these elements. So what we need to do is copy them one at a time. But before I do that, I'm going to switch to mobile view. And we've got a little bit of work to do here in ensuring that these elements all work. This time, I think I'm going to bring the button below the image, just so that's freed up so we can see more of it. Bring this red section over to the right. And I've just got to find out where the services is. And as you can see there where I've got the grid selected, you can see it's just hiding at the bottom. So if I select and drag, we can see that services text block at the bottom. And I'm just going to go and change that on mobile view. This should save us quite a bit of time when we go to edit this on mobile next time with 2 more signposts in place. So I'm going to press save, then jump back to desktop view. And now I need to duplicate these. So I'll try one more time, see if I can get a duplication option. There doesn't seem to be anything, and Command D on a Mac doesn't seem to be working. It works with one image, so I can use Command D to select just a single image and duplicate. It could just be my computer settings, but I've got a feeling that it's just not a feature available to be able to duplicate multiple items. Not to worry. We can either duplicate that individual item and move them into position. If you manage to get the option to duplicate multiple items together to work, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know, because it could be a setting set in my Chrome or a plugin that I've installed that's preventing me from doing that. Otherwise, it would be great to put that in as a feature request, I think. Okay, that's nearly 2 out of 3. And the great thing is these smart guides will allow you to keep everything on point. Finally, I'm going to speed up this process now of just going through it one more time. Okay, I think everything's in place now, and we're ready to give that one final check on mobile view, and unfortunately, it hasn't worked. So my recommendation would have been to jump back a step, and we learn as we go, and actually just do one of these at a time. So it means the mobile views are in place, especially if you've got things like the buttons all having the same call to action on them. For example, click here, then we wouldn't know until we tested it which buttons are in which place. But I hope that's given you a good introduction in terms of how to use shapes. And there's so much more we can do with this. We could extend them by bringing in even another shape below and then overlapping text over that section. So we bring them into 3 longer panels. We could change it to the red, make it really stand out, and bring that further up. We could bring this further down. And so we've got really nice nested style there as well. The limits truly are your imagination, and once you've got the grips with the basics of hosting a website builder, I'd strongly recommend having to play around with shapes because it's great to have this flexibility and function. So when the next person goes to you and asks why you're using website builders because websites all look the same, I'd show them this video. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers. If you have found this video helpful, then why not try out some of our other content? I'm Elwyn Davis, founder of Pixel Haze Academy, and I have been running successful fast-growth web design agencies for 20 years. To jump further into the Hostinger rabbit hole, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, use my affiliate link and get 10% off Hostinger, get exclusive discounts on my Hostinger courses, and the Pixel Haze VIP membership. On top of all of that, you can now book a one-to-one session with me, and we can tackle your web design challenges together. You can find all of these options in the description. Enjoy.